Hey everyone, in this video we are going to write a script that would automatically search Stack Overflow for whatever error you get during your script execution, and it would display those relevant Stack Overflow threads. So as always, let's just demo it. So let me run this script, and here we have a type error, so it automatically opens Stack Overflow threads associated with type error. So you can see that it has opened 5 tabs here, all with the type error. So now let me just quickly go through how this is accomplished. So here we have a test script which is concatenating an integer with a string. So if we run this, it would give a type error. So now this type error is this line is what we are interested in. So we need to extract this line. So to do that, we are going to write a wrapper script called main.py, which would basically execute this script and give us the output and the error associated with that. So let's see how that is done. So let me remove all this. So now we need to write a wrapper that would execute this test script and fetch us whatever error has occurred during the test script execution. So to accomplish that, we are going to use something called subprocess. So from subprocess, let me import popen and pipe. So now I'm going to define a method execute return, and this is going to take the command to be executed. So now the subprocess method requires the command to be split and passed. So now we are going to split this command. So by default it would split it on the spaces, and then we will initialize a object from the popen class, and this is going to take in the arguments, and then the std out, which will be initialized to pipe. So we are going to create output pipe stream and a error pipe stream, and then we are going to fetch the output and the error code using the communicate method. So from proc.communicate, this would fetch us the output and the error code, and we are going to return it. So now what this method would do is it would basically take in the command. So it will be python test.py, it would split it, and then it would initialize this proc object with the output and the error stream, and then it would fetch it. So now let's call this method, and let's pass in python test.py, and let's also print out the whatever is returned here. Oops. Yeah. So now you can see that it returns the output stream. So output is none, and then the error stream. So this is the error that has occurred during the execution of test. So now we need to parse this error and make sure that all the unnecessary stuff is removed before we use this to search Stack Overflow. So we would be interested only in this part of it. So let me define a main method here. And within that, I'm going to call this particular method and assign values to some variables. And then so we see that this error that it is returning is a binary object, but we would be interested in converting it to string. So let's create one more variable, error message, and we are going to decode this from binary to UTF-8, and then we are going to split it based on \r and \n, because if you see the output that was returned, you see that there is a \r and a \n. So then let's print error message. So now you can see that a list is returned with the traceback, and then the file, and then the actual error. So the actual error is the last but one element in the list. So also we are going to strip and remove the unnecessary spaces. This is to eliminate all the trailing spaces. So now if you see that the error that we are interested in is the last element of the list. So let's extract this error message, So this would give us the last element of the list, and this is the error message. So let's print it out. So there you go, this is the error message that we are interested in. So in this error message, we see that the first part before the colon gives us the type of the error that has occurred, followed by the error message. So now when we're going to query Stack Overflow, we are going to use both of this to query them. This is to give us better results. So now if there is an error, we are going to create a new variable called filter, filter message, filter error, and we are going to split the error message based on the colon to extract the type of the error and the error message. So let's split it on colon, and now we are going to use the Stack Exchange API to query for this particular error message. So let me just head over Stack Exchange API. So here in the documentation we see that there are different API end calls, but we would be interested in search call. So let's go to search, and then in search we see that it takes in the in title field. So this will be whatever the error message that we have found out, and then we are going to query this, and in tagged we can add Python as the tag, because for now we'll only be interested in Python ones. So now if I take this particular error message and let me just query that in the API there and run it. So you see that it has returned this particular result, JSON. So now we are going to do the same using request library in Python. So let's write a method that would make a request to the Stack Exchange API. I'm going to name this method make request, and it is going to take in the error string and make a request to the Stack Exchange API. So let's import request module to make that particular request. And now let's take the response and then do a get for the endpoint. So this will take in the URL of the endpoint. So the URL would be, let's copy that, api.stackexchange.com, and we need to add HTTPS here. Okay, api.stackexchange.com, and then the endpoint. So this is the endpoint. Let's copy this and paste it here and add it as a string. So now in this we need to replace this particular value in title with whatever is being passed. So let's do that. So here we are going to use the format to replace it with whatever is being passed, and that would be the error that we pass into this method, and then we are going to return the JSON. So response.json, that would give us the JSON. So now if you see this API, this is the particular JSON syntax that it is returning. Each one of the JSON elements are nested within this item key. So there's item key, and within that there is a list, and within this list there is this values. So we are interested in questions only that have an answer. So we are going to first query whether is answered is true. So if that is true, we are going to extract this particular link. So let's write a separate method for that. So let's call this right now. So we are going to call this make request method. So first let's initialize JSON1, and we are going to call make request with the filter error. So first we will pass only the type of the error, and then JSON2, and we are going to call the make request with the error message. So this is just making sure we get better results, and then we are going to create one more variable make request, and this is going to take the entire error message. So we're making 3 calls to fetch the JSON, and now we are going to write a method that would extract the URLs from this JSON, and it would take out the links. So let's name this method get URLs, and it is going to take in the JSON dict that we are going to pass. And now we are going to initialize a list called URL list. So here will be all the URLs that we are going to extract from the JSON. So let's start iterating. So for I in JSON dict, We are going to, so the JSON syntax is that within this JSON there is items key, and within that there are all the elements. So for I in JSON dict of items, and then only if that particular query has an answer we are going to fetch the URL. So is answered is the key there, so only if is answered is true we are going to fetch it. So let's make sure that it is the case. So only if is answered, and then we are going to fetch the URL. So in the URL list let's append the link, so that would be I of, and the key for link would be link. So let's append this. So this would basically iterate through all the items that we have fetched and make sure that that particular question has an answer, and then append the link. So now since our JSON could be huge, we'll make sure that not more than 3 elements are returned for now. So let's just do that as well. So this is to make sure we are not continuously iterating through that JSON. So let's increment count, and if count equal to 3, or if we have exhausted the list and not found any elements, which would be count equal to len of I, let's break out of it. So this would iterate through the dictionary and fetch whatever has items. Within that it would fetch if it is answered and if it has a link, and it would append it to it. So once we've reached a count of 3 we would just break out for now, and now this would be give us all the URLs. So now we need to import the web browser module. So this can help us open the browser directly with whatever link we are going to supply. So let's go into this. For I in URL list we are going to do web browser.open of I. So this would iterate through whatever URLs we have fetched and open the browser. So now let's complete this by making calls to the method we have defined. So get URL of, we are going to pass each one of this JSON1, and get URLs of JSON2, and get URLs of the entire JSON, so which had the entire error message. So this would basically do it for each one of the JSON and open the browser. So else means there is no error message, so let's print out no error. So let's run this, and let's see what is happening here. So the type is unsupported arguments, and it is opening that particular Stack Overflow threads associated with that error. So let's go ahead and try with some other error messages as well. So let's do the module not found one. So I'm going to import a module that I have not installed. So let me import Django. So then let me run this. So this would give the no module name Django error, and let's see what happens right now. So it opens Stack Overflow thread for errors related to this particular error. So that was no module named Django. So these are the threads. So now that we've seen 2 examples, let me just recap what we have done. So first of all, we used the subprocess method to extract the error message. Once that error message was extracted, we filtered it out, and then use this make request method, which uses the Stack Exchange API. So this API for now doesn't need any token for authentication. So for these kind of calls it doesn't need any token, but there are some other calls as well where it needs token for authentication. So you can see these kind of calls, and we use this one, which is just searching it and returning the response.json. Once that JSON is returned, we parse through it and extract the URLs that have an answer. So this is pretty much it in this video. Thank you for watching. Do like, share and subscribe.